And we live.
All right. What's up, everybody? Yeah, it's easy peasy. Easy peasy. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 0001 of Soldiers of Science. I am one half of your hosting crew, Tony D, coming at you live from the northernmost part of old Tijuana, aka San Diego. It's nice to be with y'all, and I'll pass it over to my co-host up there on the north side.
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Alex, DJ Flex, Bay Area, California, so a little bit north of the old sunny northern Tijuana. But yeah, let's get this thing going. Do we want to talk about the name first? Do we want to talk about the name, or do we want to get into that later?
Yeah, we get into that a little bit later.
Okay.
I think right now we can just kind of cover a little bit of what we're going to get into tonight. We're going to start off with a little bit of an original piece that I put together to give a little background, a little insight into the thinking beneath the ethos of Soldiers of Science. And we're going to talk about a little bit of the lineup we got for you tonight. We've got a mix of some politics, of some sports, of some pandemic. Of course, we'd be remiss to not touch on
just a little bit. We'll cover just a little bit
of what's going on with that. I'm going to do a NBA playoff preview. First round of the NBA playoffs 2020 bubble style coming at you. They kicked off today, so I'm going to give you my first round picks for that. We're going to talk a little bit about the Democratic National Convention that happened today. Ooh, yeah, I bet you're squirming in your seat, waiting to hear what we got to say about that. Alex is going to touch on some other crazy stuff going on in Russia, particularly with a vaccine that apparently they have access to, and they're giving to their own children already. Yeah, so
I'm gonna do my best to cover it, but yes,
yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah,
with that. So yeah, with that, I think that gives you a little taste of what to expect. Again, bear with us. This is episode again, like I said, 0001. So we're just kind of learning on the fly. Hope to entertain y'all. Make sure that if you are enjoying yourselves and you like this and you want to see more, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Share the good news with your friends and family, but do alert them that, anything can happen here. So we are just all learning this together. But please comment, give us your feedback. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see, what you don't want to see. Just to give everybody a little bit more background on me personally, Tony D, before I get into my original piece here. I am on day 7 of no caffeine, no coffee. I started this quest with a full head of black hair, and this is what I got 7 days in. So just kidding. Now, this is all natural. In case for those of you wondering if he died, this crazy asshole's dyeing his hair white. No, this started when I was 13 years old. I am now not 13 years old, but way too young to have all this white hair. But anyway, that's what I got going for me. And with that, let's get into this. Let's spread our wings a little bit. And I'm going to give you guys a little insight into my brain, something I wrote today for this very special occasion. And I call it, of course, S.O.S, Soldiers of Science. Here we go. Yeah. S.O.S. We are the indisputable soldiers of science. To facts is what we forged a monolithic alliance. Not to be skewed by any single source of news, we collect from every angle to unearth the motive of truth. See all these lies from liars lying is the shit we see through. And we'll never fall for falsehoods. It's just not what we do. If and when we get misled, we're quick to act and correct. Quickly triple check and snap an evil source at the neck. Metaphorically behead these false prophets pushing hate and put to rest those on the quest to seduce and sedate. 2 souls on active duty, so we stay wide awake. The Boricua and the Frenchie here to call out the stakes. Our infantry is every living being on earth. For those lost in the lies, our mission, find and convert. And that's it.
Woo!
A little piece for y'all. Marinate on it. Let me know what you guys think.
Nice,
Definitely in the comments. I'm going to leave the bars, the lyrics, in the show description so you guys can see those words for yourself afterwards and spread it far and wide. With that, I'm going to pass it over to the OG, Alex, to jump into our next topic, our first real topic of the night. And it's a heavy one. We're going to talk about the latest with
the pandemic.
Mr. Alex, take it over, sir.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome, by the way. That was the first time I heard it.
Thank you.
Tone did give me a little sneak peek before the show, but it was the first time I heard it, so that was pretty awesome. And again, like you said, I know that if this is the first time you're here, please just comment, even if you don't want to subscribe yet because you don't know what you're in for. But I promise you, we're going to be trying to cover, a whole swath of different topics, from archaeology, astrology, astronomy, not just specifically around science, but definitely covering, like Tony mentioned, politics and geopolitics and sports and really anything of interest. So please comment down below. Let us know what you want us to discuss. We are also going to be interviewing some guests, and we'll definitely give you a heads up when we have those interviews planned, what those topics are going to be. But if there's anything that you want us to cover directly, and if there's any interviewees that might be interested to participate in the show, let us know. All right. Let me get this thing going here. I'm just going to share some content. But basically, pandemic news. We'll cover it as briefly as possible because I know probably everybody's, not really trying to talk about this for too much, but we must cover the state of affairs in this subject. 21.7 million cases, 777,274 deaths. 8 billion people on Earth, but it's still catastrophic. The hot zones, as many of you are probably aware, outside of the United States, of course, is most of South America at this point. There are some hotspots arriving or starting to respawn in Western Europe, Spain, France, Germany as well, and South Africa. Sorry. So these are some of the cool little graphs. If you're privy to New York Times, I've been going back and forth on the subscription thing, so don't judge me, you New York Times haters out there. We're going to try different things. We might go to the Washington Post, we might go to the Wall Street Journal, we might go to a different, just Associated Press. We're trying new things every week. So
all angles, baby, all angles.
So yeah, really, U.S., right? This is where I think most of our viewers are going to be. But if you're not from the U.S. and you're watching this, thank you. And please comment and let us know where you're watching from. The number of known coronavirus cases in the U.S. continues to grow. We got 5.4 million people across every state, plus D.C., and 4 U.S. territories have tested positive. So we are at 170,400 patients that have passed on due to the virus. So again, I won't, anybody can do their own research. Really the message that I'm trying to make here, and I think Tony and I are both aligned on this, is let's just please keep doing our part to try to mitigate this as much as possible. I have children. They just started school today, right? Remote learning. I have a mother-in-law that works at a very famous university here locally, and she's sending me articles about college students all over the U.S. just starting, and they're partying hard. You guys are out there just wilding out, and I get it. Oof. I get it. Tony and I were in our 20s. It wasn't that long ago. Mm-mm. And it wasn't that long ago, i.e. like 6 months ago, we were also still going out and having a good time, going to restaurants, going to bars.
Yes, we were.
So I get it, right? But unfortunately, we're all in this together. And I just implore that everyone just use your common sense. It's okay to have fun, but we have to respect some of these laws, right? We got to wear a mask. We got to stay distance. We can still have parties, but it's just going to have to be different until we get this thing under control. So that's really the message here. Not going to bore anybody else on any other statistics. I mean, there's still a lot of issues with testing. Like, we're not getting enough testing. The testing isn't 100% accurate. I mean, every single angle of this situation there's two sides, right? So, again, what we know is that masks do help mitigate. No, they will not prevent you from getting the virus. I guess let me make this other statement, because a lot of people seem to still be confused about this. Wearing a mask does not prevent you from getting the virus. Yes, we all understand a bandana isn't going to do anything, right? To prevent you, but it will help mitigate when you cough. Let's say you have the virus and you're asymptomatic. It will help to prevent you from spreading it as much as not wearing a mask. Please wear your mask. Exactly. So yeah, that's it. More to come on the next episode. I'm going to try to come a little bit more prepared with some more statistics in like local counties or where some of the hotspots are. Texas is still kind of, on the up and up. They haven't stabilized. We're in California. We're not in the best shape either. Where I'm located is a little bit better than Los Angeles. Where Tony's located, I think you guys are about to be off of the watch list, the California watch list.
We got our local text this evening that says tomorrow we are officially off the list. So
awesome.
Hooray. It's funny. My significant other, my beautiful wife, told me that, and I had a hard time not just sarcastically saying yay, because it's like
yeah.
I know we got this text today. Next week it's going to be, well, we're back on the list, and it's hard to not be negative. Like it's just see it coming a million miles away. I mean, like Alex talked about with these schools opening, and you see these videos of these kids in Georgia and North Carolina just partying like it's.
I didn't want to call them out where they were, but yeah,
like it's like a normal opening week of college. And what UNC Chapel Hill specifically, I'm calling y'all out because I saw that you immediately reverted back, which is good. I want to give them credit. You know what I mean? They said, okay, we had it wrong, and we were going to in-person classes. We had a low rate of infection. Now we've got kids on campus, and we're testing them, and the rates are going through the roof. So back to online only. And I can only hope that all schools will follow suit if they see these things happen, quickly addressing it and not trying to just continuously put people in harm's way. That's all I'll say about that. I hope that they can quickly adjust, like Chapel Hill did. But it'd be really cool to not make that mistake to begin with. Let's just stick it out, a couple more months. Soon it'll be Halloween. We can just dress up at home and all have fun, and then Thanksgiving and then Christmas. Let's just keep it cool, man. Anyway, let me go off my soapbox with that piece.
No, man, it's true. And so I spend a lot of time on YouTube, and I go through a lot of comments, and I go far left, I go far right, I read conservative. I'm a little bit in the middle. I love a lot of things about the left and the right, blah, blah, blah. I honestly don't pick a side, but I read it all. And the biggest arguments on the right is like, oh, if you wear a mask, your oxygen levels are reduced. And so we're going to get into the science of all this. Just not this episode. Let us know in the comments again down below if you're interested in us breaking down the science about what a mask does and does not do, because that's literally the purpose of the show. We want to try to dispel some myths and just have an open conversation about everything. So we want to hear from you.
Awesome. Amen. Definitely. Click.
Shall
button.
we get into some sports, Tone?
We should. Let's jump. Let's switch gears here. And get into some sports. All right. So
specifically,
for those of you who have been living in a bubble, let me tell you about a little thing called the NBA bubble. It's a little bubble in Orlando. They brought all the teams from the NBA that were close enough to jockey for position in the playoffs. To give them a chance to finish out the regular season in a modified way, 8 games, an 8-game slate. I think the total was 22 teams were brought in, and only 16 teams are actually eligible for the playoffs every year. So there were
Golden State Warriors are in the playoffs, right?
Golden State Warriors are not
in the playoffs. Oh.
They are surprisingly in dead last in the Western Conference this year.
What happened there?
But I don't know. Just a fall from grace. A very large, quick fall from grace.
Thanks for being easy on me, Tony.
No, I'm just my buddy showed me this the other day too. It's 2018, I think it was the finals was the Warriors and the Cavs, right? Crazy dope finals. And this year, 2020, both of those teams. So the Warriors are dead last in the West. Cavs are dead last in the East. It's crazy. Life comes at you quick, man. Life comes at you quick. But with that, yeah. So the 8-game slate was a large success. A lot of the kind of sport fanatics across the country look to that as kind of just this nostalgic way to escape from all the crazy shit that's going on, the chaos all around us. There's a lot of debate on whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think one of the challenging parts of this is we're going through so many different things right now, especially with social injustice happening at such a scale. And it's just like a lightning rod moment for our culture. People don't want to detract for that. So that was a big thing that the NBA players negotiated coming back into this bubble, was that, hey, we're going to come back in and we're going to put our lives on the line, even in this bubble, this hermetically sealed bubble, which we will get into the science of that also in a later episode, not this episode. I just want to do a little preview of the playoffs, but we'll get into how the NBA was able to do this so successfully so far, what they're doing for testing. I've heard they're partnering with Yale to develop more rapid testing, new rapid testing that they then want to make available to the medical community at large. Anyway, they've had large success so far. 0 positive tests since they started this relaunch of the season. And but the big thing that the players wanted to negotiate was, hey, we're going to be here away from our families. This is top of mind for all of us. Obviously, with the NBA being a largely African-American community, most players in the league are of African-American descent. And this is just their platform. And they're using it. They want to use it. They want to make their voices heard, to call attention to the movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, and the injustices that are going on with cases around Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, so on and so forth. So they've been very successful with that as well. They've made some powerful video segments, commercials. They've got Black Lives Matter plastered on the court, large. You can't miss it. Every game, everything that goes on, it's all interweaved with a lot of messaging around the social justice movement. So I'm very proud to be a fan of the NBA and see what they've done. I hope the players are happy with what they've done, but obviously our work is never done. So that's all I'll say on that. But they've been hugely successful so far on both bringing sport back and bringing a message to the people to keep their platform, powerfully in the center of attention in folks' minds that do want to tune in. So with that, let's get to the playoffs. Okay. What we're going to talk about today is the first round. I'm going to give you guys my picks for the first round of the NBA playoffs, the bubble playoffs. It's unprecedented. There's been no time, I don't know, in modern sport that any of us have ever witnessed where something has gone like this, other than like the Olympics, where everyone's, living in these little Olympic communities, Olympic Village. This is kind of like a little taste of that, but even more concentrated into a specific bubble in Orlando on the Disney World, resort, an ESPN Wide World of Sports section of Disney. So with that, enough said. I'm gonna share my screen real quick, and we're gonna look at the bracket. Okay, so here we go. Here's the bracket. This is what has shaken out on the Eastern and Western conferences this year. We've got I'm going to cover for you the Eastern Conference first, and then I'll go to the Western Conference. I will reveal at the end of this my homerism is very strong. I have a team that I pull for because I lived in this city. I love this city that I'm going to tell you about at the end when I make my final pick. But before we get to that, let me go through the other series, and I'm going to try and be as non-biased as I can. Now, the Bucks Magic, that's a 1-8 series. This is not going to be very competitive. The Bucks have Giannis Antetokounmpo. They've got a fantastic team, very strong defensive team, some hot 3-point shooting. They've got a former a player that used to be on my team that is kind of a catalyst for some of their 3-point shooting, and Pat Connaughton. That may give some of you a little bit of a clue of who I'm talking about here. And yeah. Enough of that. I'm going to make my pick right now, and it's going to be the Bucks. And I don't see, unfortunately, for you Orlando Magic fans, and even though they have some kind of quote unquote home court advantage here, not really, because it's in Orlando, but there's no fans. So I'm going to call this one Bucks in 4. Okay. That's just the sad reality, Magic fans. I love you. We all love you, but it's just not going to be very competitive. The Bucks are too good this year, and they are hungry to get deep into the playoffs. So that's my call for that first series. Magic do have some nice players. They got Aaron Gordon. They got a couple injuries though, so they're not going to be at full strength. But I do expect the Bucks to take care of business pretty handily in that series. This next one is going to be a banger. Pacers and Heat. Pacers are very fundamentally sound team, coached by Nate McMillan. I think you're going to see some really strong fundamental basketball in this series. Obviously, the Heat have kind of that firecracker type player in Jimmy Butler, but they've also got some 3-point shooting on that squad with I think his name's Duncan Robinson, young cat, just hitting at a high clip from beyond the arc. But I do think this is going to be one of those series that's kind of knock down, drag them out. It's going to go long. We got TJ Warren, who was one of the kings of the bubble, scoring at an insanely high clip. And there's some beef there with TJ Warren on the Pacers and Jimmy Butler on the Heat. So things could heat up. Oh, man. We may have to edit that out. That is too much of a dad joke this early on in our podcast lives. But anyway, we'll keep that momentum going here. I do think that the Pacers end up winning this series. It will be, like I said, a grueling series. So we're going to call it Pacers in 7. I think this thing goes the distance. I think the Pacers end up eking it out with the extra, focus on fundamentals. They're a little bit more experienced, I believe, than the Heat. So yeah, we're going to call it Pacers in 7. Moving on, Celtics Sixers, another one that is going to be very competitive. But with the Sixers having injury to Ben Simmons, they're kind of all league type player. I see it hard for them to kind of overcome that, even though, they've got Embiid. He's a giant human being that can play the game. But he's only one dude and he can't do it all. And I don't think they have enough supporting pieces to make it happen. Whereas the Celtics are playing like gangbusters right now. They are balling. They've got, Jaylen Brown, who is just a phenomenal player. And they've also got Jason Tatum, who's playing out of his mind right now. Kemba Walker, Smart, who's just a tremendous defensive player night in and night out, one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league. So I got to call this one for the Celtics. And I do think that the Sixers get a W here, but that's it. I think it's going to be Celtics in 5. So what we call that in the league is gentleman's sweep. So 4-1. Again, I want to put the caveat out there that this is going to be a very strange year for the NBA for these playoffs because it's in a bubble. Normally, you've got the higher seed, you've got home court advantage. You play your first couple games in front of your home crowd. Everybody's juiced.
Totally different.
Totally different, man. This is a very there's a word for it. I can't. It's escaping me right now, but it's just very static. They're trying their best to kind of get some, they're using
some hype, some momentum.
They're using Microsoft Teams to bring in virtual fans to the sides, and showing that stuff. But it's just obviously not the same as a arena packed with thousands of people. So I do call this one for the Celtics in 5. But again, I want to paint the caveat that this is going to be an unprecedented playoffs. So anything can happen. I could be way off with all of these. I probably am. So come back and check back on next episode to see how badly I've predicted these, and we'll laugh at myself together. Raptors and Nets. Now this one, again, this is another one that I don't expect to be too competitive. The Nets do have some nice young pieces, especially Karis LeVert. The dude is cold. They've got some ballers, but obviously their big 2 are out right now. They got Kevin Durant, they got Kyrie Irving, both not in the bubble, both not balling.
Oh, Durant ended up at the Nets, huh?
Yeah. So obviously, if Durant and Kyrie were there, this would be a completely different conversation. I don't think they would be the 7th seed. It would be a lot higher than that. But that's just sadly not the case for them this year. And the Raptors are the defending champions. They did lose Kawhi, but they got everybody else, and they are balling. I think they also lost Valanciunas. I don't know if he was there, actually. I mean, let's disregard that. I think the important part is they got Kyle Lowry and they got Siakam. These kids are balling. And Mr. Fred VanVleet, who is a playoff monster. Now, again, I do have a little bit of the advantage with these series. Some of these series, like the Raptors Nets, I saw those games today. The series, the playoffs have already kicked off. Raptors whooped on the Nets. But again, I think that the bubble is going to present some interesting dynamics to these series. So I do see the Nets squeaking one out. And I do think at the end of the day, though, the Raptors will win this series. And it will be another gentleman's sweep. So I say Raptors in 5 here. And that is my predictions for the Eastern Conference. Now, moving over to the Western Conference, things are very, very, very spicy in the Western Conference. You usually have 9, 10 different teams that can really, really give you hell in the Western Conference. And there's only 8 spots to get in. And there was a hell of a home stretch in the bubble. There was 4 teams legitimately vying for that final 8 spot. It was the Suns, who went undefeated 8-0 in the bubble, just missed out due to some mathematical mishaps. They went 8-0 in the bubble, but they were far enough behind where that didn't matter. They needed a couple other teams to lose to get them in, and it just didn't happen. But they are playing fantastic basketball. That fan base has a lot to be excited for next season. Devin Booker is a legitimate all-star, all-NBA type talent. But they unfortunately missed it. The Grizzlies came into the bubble, were in the 8th seed. They had a 3.5 game lead on the Portland Trailblazers. Really almost looked insurmountable. You talk about a 3.5 game lead with 8 games to go. Really unfortunate what happened to them. They couldn't find the basket. They couldn't find a groove. They only ended up winning 2 games, I think, out of the 8. And at the end of the day, they slipped up and they slipped to the 9th seed, and they got eliminated by the Blazers in the play-in game on Saturday, this past Saturday. So the Blazers took that 8th seed. From the Grizzlies, there were some other teams vying for that. I think the Pelicans, the Spurs. Spurs missed the playoffs for the first time in 22 seasons, which is a big hit. But again, the Spurs will be fine. They got popped. They'll be great, but they just didn't have enough to get over that hump this year to get into that final playoff seed. So with that, that's enough prefacing of the Western Conference. We'll jump right into the series. Clippers, Mavericks. Mavericks are the number 1 offense in the NBA, the most efficient offense in the NBA. They got obviously a young phenom in Luka Doncic. Doncic, I don't know how to say that. Doncic. No, Luka Doncic, and he's just phenomenally dope. They also have Kristaps Porzingis, who's a freak of nature, like 7-footer that can shoot the 3, pull up from anywhere on the court. Not your typical prototypical big man. Plays more like a guard. So this series, I do see most people are favoring the Clippers heavily in this. It's a 2-7 matchup. Again, typically you would see a lot more benefit to the higher seed with the home court advantage, but we don't have that here in the bubble. So I think this one's going to go the distance. But I do see the Clippers coming out on top. I say the Clippers in 7. Mavericks have enough offensive firepower to make it a series. But at the end of the day, they just don't have a closer like Kawhi Leonard. Defensive lockdown machine. Obviously, Paul George is a phenom. Coming back off, failed, I guess you could call it, experiment in OKC. Now he's back with his LA buddy in Kawhi Leonard. I think the Clippers got a nice team put together this year, but I think they will struggle with the Mavericks more so than people are expecting them to. The next team, the next series here, Nuggets and Jazz. Again, this one's tough because of injuries. I think Conley for the Jazz had to leave the bubble for I forget what reason exactly. I don't know if it was personal or injury or whatever, but not having him really leaves them at a limited capacity. They do have Gobert, who's a tremendous defender at the rim. They've got another absolute freak of nature baller in Donovan Mitchell. He dropped 57 points tonight for them, but they lost. And I see a lot more of that happening in this series. The Nuggets are just way too deep. Jokic and Murray, they've got that young kid Porter Jr. balling out of his mind, can't miss from 3. They just got too many pieces for the Jazz to contend with. So I see this one actually as being a gentleman's sweep. Again, I say the Nuggets in 5. I think the Jazz will get one just on sheer will from Donovan Mitchell. The game today did go to overtime, so it was close. But the Nuggets, again, just in the end had too many pieces. But I do think that the Jazz get one in this series. So Nuggets win it, but in 5. Gentlemen sweep there. Next series here, It's the Rockets Thunder. This one, I'll give you a little background here. This is kind of a revenge type series. If you guys have remember from last year, Damian Lillard and the Blazers eliminated the Thunder, ending the Westbrook era, ending the Westbrook and Paul George experiment, sending those guys on their way. Westbrook ended up with the Rockets, but he is currently injured, which really puts the Rockets in a tough spot. And the Thunder are balling out of their minds with Chris Paul at the helm. So I really think that Chris Paul's got a chip on his shoulder, getting shipped off from Houston to go to the Thunder. And I think that this is going to be basically a Chris Paul versus James Harden type series. I think this one goes the distance. I think it's going to be a knockdown, drag them out. The Rockets are playing small ball. They're all in on small ball. They got no bigs. They have no interest in playing big. They have no interest in any of that type of defensive, holding down the fort, old school basketball. They are just high octane, score the bucket, score the basket at a high clip. You got James Harden, the most prolific scorer in the NBA. So I see this one going 7 series, but I'm going to call a surprise here. And I say that the Thunder get revenge. They get the W in this series, calling it Thunder and 7. Rockets eliminated by Chris Paul himself. That's tantalizing. Now, for my pick of the first round, the most homer thing you will ever probably see. I am a diehard Trailblazers fan. I live in the city of Portland for I can't quite put my hat on the right way because of my headphones, but we'll just rest it on top there. That's cool. This champion sit on top.
Rocket, man.
I lived in Portland for 5 years. I love the city of Portland. We're going to get into the city of Portland in an upcoming episode to talk about some of the other things going on in Portland, not related to basketball. But I am a diehard Blazer fan. I couldn't be more happy that they got into these playoffs. They played out of their minds in the 8-game relaunch. Damian Lillard got bubble MVP. He had a series of games where he scored 51, then he scored 61, then he scored 42. Just 154 points in 3 games, which is the most by any player in NBA history for the final 3 games of a season.
That's nasty.
He's just playing out of his mind. He can shoot the ball from anywhere on the court. He will pull up from half court, like just casually. And
Steph Curry.
Just crazy. Exactly. Curry-esque, right?
I know you don't like to hear that.
I don't like to hear that because, you know what I mean? Like, I got some salt in the wounds from old series, but, you know, it's the truth. Like, they're both just ridiculously dope in their own ways. But I will say that Damian has better hops than Curry. I don't see Curry ever dunking it on a 7-footer like Dame did in that game against who was that? That was against the Grizzlies. It was on Saturday. He dunked on Valanciunas. And it was nasty. He basically broke Twitter, broke the internet with that one. So this one, of course, let me get into this matchup. It's the number 1 seeded Lakers versus the number 8 seeded Blazers. The Blazers are not your typical prototypical 8 seed. They got Nurkic back. They got Collins back. They got team is getting healthy at the right time. They got Carmelo Anthony revived. Skinny Mello, as he's called. He's got this new nickname in the bubble because he came to the bubble looking slim down, like more slim down than he has since he was a kid.
Did he lose some muscle mass or what?
He's just more fit, more slim. He's 37 years old. He's literally my age, which makes me feel completely unaccomplished. I don't know why, but he's been in the league for like 20 years. But yeah, so Melo's playing motivated ball. Nurkic is playing motivated ball. Nurkic just lost his grandmother on Saturday morning to COVID. She lost her battle with COVID. So brutal. He's playing with you know what I mean? Obviously a big hole in the heart. The team's rallied around him, but yeah, she was in a coma from it. She had a battle going with COVID for a couple weeks. And she lost her battle on Saturday morning. So playing with heavy hearts. And, you know, it's just more proof of how real this pandemic is and how it's impacting, you know, all facets of life. You know, there's nobody that's obviously, you know, can escape it. It's just a reality that we have to deal with. It's a very shitty, painful reality. But they're playing motivated ball. They're coming together at the right time. So I don't expect this to be your typical 1-8 seed matchup. And the Lakers are the Lakers. You know, they got LeBron James, best player in the world. They've got Anthony Davis. It's probably not that far from being, you know, in the top 5 players in the world. And it's going to be crazy. This series features 3 of the top 10 dudes in the league, in AD, LeBron, and Damian. But the Blazers are going to make some noise. The Blazers are going to surprise the world. So here's my homer pick of the first round. I'm going Blazers, shock the world, and it doesn't even go the distance. I think the Blazers do it in 6. That's me being conservative. I want to say even crazier than that, but it's going to be interesting to see. Blazers have been playing close games. Basically, every one of the 8 games in the bubble was down to the final possession, and they ended up going 6-2, 7-2 if you count the play-in game against the Grizzlies. So they are locked in and definitely in the late ball game. They've got 3 guys they can go to get you clutch buckets in Melo, Damian Lillard, of course, Mr. Dame Time, and CJ McCollum, who's a monster. He's a shark, unstoppable when he's locked in. So I see the Blazers shocking the world here with a win in this series, send it LeBron and AD back to the drawing board, and that's going to be your story of the first round of the bubble. And with that, that's my first round picks. Hope you guys come back, check in the next episode so we can all collectively laugh together at how horribly wrong I did, or we can celebrate, and say, damn, this dude's a Nostradamus.
Either you're going to get a lot of hate in the comments, or you're going to have to start a subscription service for picks, man.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Portland, baby. Yeah, I might have to. I might have to start doing that. Get some FanDuel cash up in here.
I'll be honest. I mean, I'm not trying to hate on anybody else, but like for sure, Lakers-Blazers matchup seems like it's going to be one of the most exciting matchups to watch. So you got some killer players on both ends.
Yeah, it should be. And I hope that's my biggest fear as a Blazer fan, is that we just don't even show up and we get swept, like last year in the Western Conference Finals against the damn Warriors.
I mean,
but, we didn't have Nurkic. It was tough. We should have won at least one game, though. It's embarrassing. I can't even go back there. It's just too painful for me. But at least we made it to the Western Conference Finals, right? This year, we just snuck into that 8 seed and we're hungry. So I'd like to see this matchup. See what we do. First game is tomorrow night at 6:00 Pacific. Again, come back, like it, comment, give feedback in the comments. Tell me how much of a maniac homer I am, or tell me how much you love me because you're from Portland and you think that I'm just a genius and we're going to do this together. So with that, that's going to be the end of my segment here for the playoff preview. Hope you all enjoyed that. Hope you all got some laughs. And I know I definitely got some haters out there. I can't wait to see y'all comment underneath and let me know what y'all really think.
I mean, it's sports, man. It wouldn't be sports if there wasn't, 2 opinions to every.
That's right.
Game. So
that's right. And anything can happen, man. It's the bubble. That's one of my, obviously all of these series could go 7 games because it's the bubble. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's going to get swept just because there's not any fans. There's no one to It's just unprecedented for sure.
Crazy times.
Crazy times. All right, my brother. After that, we're gonna pass it back over to DJ Flex to get into the next topic, which is, drum roll, please. Boom.
Yep. The mythical Russian vaccine. So I'm going to reference 2 articles here. Again, I'll try to make this relatively quick because I actually did spend quite a few hours researching this over the weekend. And I've actually talked to a couple family members that are doctors. And yeah, I mean, the consensus is pretty much all the same. It's a bunch of bullshit. We don't really know what's going on and if it's even true. But I'm going to reference 2 articles, Science News and New Scientist. Basically, I just really want to go down, how does it work? What is it? How does it work? How many people have been tested, supposedly? And is this a good idea? Right? So that's what we're going to get into right now. Let me set this thing up. So, yeah, researchers at Moscow-based Gamaleya Research Institute of Epidemiology and Microbiology, part of the Russian Health Ministry, developed the 2-part vaccine, right? So it's a 2-part vaccine. You're supposed to, you get your first shot, and then 2 weeks later, you get your second shot. essentially, and it's a protein that helps the coronavirus latch onto cells, and the protein that helps the coronavirus to latch onto the cells to infect them are disabled, essentially. So the approach is similar to other coronavirus vaccines and how they work. University of Oxford is working on something very similar, using chimpanzee adenovirus, and a vaccine devised by China-based CanSino Biologics is based on adenovirus 5. Johnson & Johnson uses adenovirus 26 for its vaccine. So it's all kind of the same concept. There is kind of some merit there in terms of what, methods they're using and how their approach is, essentially. But yeah, it's called the Sputnik 5, which is, I thought, kind of interesting, the way they called that. So 38 people have gotten a shot containing the engineered adenovirus 26 component. And then, 3 weeks later, not 2 weeks later, they received a booster of injections, engineered adenovirus 5 component. So the results of the study have not yet been published. And as many of you may have heard or may not, Putin claims that his daughter has received this vaccine. So many of us are questioning why he didn't take it himself if he was so confident to give it to his daughter. But, things work a little differently in Russia. And I'll just leave it at that. So, 38 people tested. And then, this is getting kind of political. This article, do the Russians win? It's not a contest, or it shouldn't be, says Kawar Talat, an infectious disease doctor at the Center of Immunization Research at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. These are not national products. They are international companies that make these vaccines for the world. So the Sputnik 5 vaccine probably would not be approved for use in any other country without phase 3 trials. So for those of you that were hoping, hey, the Russians got it, when can we get it? We're probably not going to approve this one because it doesn't go through the same rigorous testing and trials that we in the Western world sometimes like to adhere to. So this is Science News. Anyone can Google this one. And then everything you need to know about the Russians' coronavirus vaccine claims. So New Scientist also did a piece on this. Sputnik 5. They talk about the process again. So the Russians have pre-registered phase 1 and phase 2, but again, not phase 3. These trials were completed in early August, and I guess immediately after phase 2, Putin decided, to give his daughter the vaccine. So again, it's probably all politics. We don't know. We'll never know. It claims there's no adverse effects and that the vaccine triggered a desired immune response, but no detailed results have been released. It also claims that a phase 3 trial will commence today. So when was this written? The 12th. And will commence today in a number of countries, including Brazil, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, and UAE. So I guess there are other countries that are partnering, apparently, according to what they claim. So in other words, the vaccine hasn't been through all its full gamut of tests without the data from phase 1 and phase 2. We don't know how safe it is without phase 3. We don't know if it works. And that's really the reality. I've been studying a lot because I do a lot of research in investing, and, biotech's always a big market where people are looking, and specifically right now, people are trying to figure out who is going to develop the vaccine because it's, essentially a multi-billion or if not $1 trillion product for whoever can come up with the safest, best vaccine the first. So I won't name any companies here, but if you guys are interested, I can, we can chat in the comments or something. But there's 2 big companies that are, at the forefront of this: American-based companies and European-based companies. And the reality is, the whole point I'm trying to make around this is essentially everyone's kind of approaching it slightly differently. There's all this talk of adenovirus, different adenoviruses, and like triggering those or disabling those. But essentially, we don't know how long they're going to last, right? We don't know how long they're going to work. Is this vaccine going to be permanent? You just take it once, or you take a booster every 10 years? Are you going to need to take it every month? Are you going to need to take it every 6 weeks, every 6 months, every year? those questions are still obviously completely unanswered. So unfortunately, time will tell, and hopefully, I think people who are optimistic say by the end of the year or early next year, but does that even include phase 3 trials? And are we able to manufacture enough here in the US and then the rest of the world? That we will see. So is a working vaccine on the way? According to the World Health Organization, 6 vaccines are currently in phase 3, but none are completed. More than 100 vaccines are in development and have showed positive results, raising hopes that one will likely be rolled out within the next 12 months. So yeah, 12 months. That's the reality. So that's why we got to keep, doing our thing, wear our masks, keep socially distanced, and try to keep this thing under control. That's the only way to bring economies back. For those of you, and Tony and I are desperately concerned about restaurants reopening, people not losing their businesses, people not losing their life's work, their lives. Like, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Like, this whole mask thing isn't a conspiracy to like destroy America and destroy the world. It's not. We want to do things the right way, though, right? And I think all of these things can coexist if we have a maybe different type of leadership that helps to motivate people to do that. But at the end of the day, like, that battle, in my opinion, is lost. Unless we get a new administration in November. Even then, there's no guarantee of unity and people abiding by the rules. It's really up to us. And like, I'm speaking specifically for America, but if you're listening in South America, it's the same thing. Like, it's on us now. Like, and India, I think, as well. Like, we have to. This is my personal thoughts. Like, we have to be good citizens and just take care of ourselves as a community, right? We're all Americans. We're all people of the world. If we can all just align on the same kind of simple rules, I think we can get through this, no problem. Yes, we do need massive fiscal help from, federal agencies to keep businesses afloat during this time. I'm going to speak more on this. This is actually something I really want to cover on the next episode. There is a bill that will potentially be pushed or shown in front of Parliament, in front of Congress. It's a $120 billion bill, and it's specifically around restaurants, and it specifically targets like the mom and pop restaurants, the business, non-chain restaurants, the non-McDonald's, the Carl's Jr., etc. And all it really, and it sounds like a lot of money, but we just printed $4 trillion. $120 billion will help to keep these smaller businesses afloat and get them through this period. And then they'll continue to work, of course. They're going to continue to do takeouts and things like that, but they can't survive off just takeouts. So to wrap this whole thing around, this virus that Russia got, it ain't going to do much for us. The vaccine that will hopefully, alleviate this entire situation ain't coming for another 12 months realistically. So, yeah. With that said,
yeah,
there's
no quick fixes.
There's no quick fix.
Not in epidemiology, not in pandemics, for novel viruses. That's just not the way the science works, folks. As ideal as that would be, it's just not the way it works. And you also have to take into account, like Alex was saying, I mean, this Russian vaccine is very, again, it starts to get squirrely and political. We don't know exactly all the facts. It could be propaganda. It could be some sort of, in their mind, like, the space race, only like the vaccine race. And they think it shows some sign of superiority that they have a vaccine already. And we're giving it to our, most powerful politicians' children. So all of that gigantic, huge, heavy grain of salt, to really understand and to get to a point where we're, really giving vaccines out to folks that's helping is going to be at least 12 months realistically. And we also have to take into consideration anti-vaxxers, people that 1 in 3 people in this country specifically, again, we're speaking to the US, that have said they don't care if there's a vaccine or not. They're not going to take it because they think it's some Bill Gates funded mind control microchip or some, crazy conspiracy. Again, we're here to talk about science and fact, but there's a lot to combat against that isn't science or fact. A lot of lies, a lot of manipulation, a lot of information leveraged to sedate people into a state of fear and distrust. And that's another battle. That's another uphill battle that we fight against. Even in the perfect world, we have the vaccine tomorrow. Not everybody would willingly go and get it.
Yep.
So,
yeah, who would have thought? Like, I never would have thought in my wildest dreams 10, 20 years ago that the year 2020 would be the year that everyone refutes science. And like, we're just like, not everyone, I'm generalizing, of course, but
yeah,
like we have an overwhelming, hopefully minority,
yeah,
and not majority of people that think that literally everything is a conspiracy theory. And please, if you're watching and you have those beliefs, like, we want to talk to you. Like, we want to, like, I fundamentally want to understand where you're coming from, where you're getting your information, because I go there. Tony and we're all about the conspiracy theories. Like we will talk about many of conspiracy theories on this show. Like, that's literally the purpose of this show in a way.
Yes.
And I can't find anything, honestly, that supports many of these narratives that I'm seeing on TV, that I'm seeing on Twitter, that I'm seeing on YouTube, that I'm seeing on Instagram. Like, and it's gotten out of hand. Yeah. Like, everyone's like, oh, we got to wake up. Oh, no. I'm woke. Yeah. Like, you're using the word woke now. Like, 2 months ago, woke was like a bad word from like that kind of sect of people. And then now it's out of control.
It's out of control. And the only thing that really, at the end of the day, again, it's all context. It's indisputable, peer-reviewed evidence.
That's what we're going to try to bring. That's
Facts.
What we're going to try to bring. Yeah.
We're not going to go on conjecture. We're not going to go on assumptions or belief. It's just facts. Things that would stand up in a court of law, not a United States court of law, because our criminal justice system is a different story, different episode, but just any type of peer-reviewed scientific fact. That is what we're after.
Yeah.
And we're open to anybody that can show us these types of facts.
Yeah.
And we're open to any type of discussion about that. But at the end of the day, we're not hanging blind faith on conspiracies just because they seem likely or just because they fit our narrative. That's called self-fulfilling bias. We're not going to do that. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to break it down to brass tacks, facts, reality. And let's do it. Let's do it in the comments. Let's do it live.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Please.
And with that, let's jump into the next topic here.
Another highly contested subject.
Again, this is something that's big for the blue wave. Those Democrats throughout the country. Tonight was the grand opening, or the whatever you want to call it, the ribbon cutting of the Democratic National Convention. There's going to be speakers all week. I think Joe Biden himself is speaking Thursday, probably to accept the nomination from the party. He recently announced Kamala Harris as his pick for vice president. That news in and of itself has been crazy. You got opinions coming from all walks of the spectrum. People just both surprised, excited, disappointed, depending on who you talk to, disgusted and angry. Other people are really empowered and overjoyed to see a woman of color be selected. Now, what you want to, not about her politics, all of that aside, scientific fact is, this is American history. This is the highest national public office that a woman of color has ever been nominated to. Well, she will accept the nomination this week for vice president. So politics aside and history aside, I know there are a lot of folks, including me, that don't look fondly back on her past as a prosecutor. To me, and I know this is going to offend some people, but we're also going to do that because that's what we're talking about, facts and science. But to me, a prosecutor is essentially a cop that went to college and got a degree. That's all it is. They're cops. I don't like prosecutors because they do the work of this corrupt criminal justice system. Now, let me take a step back and say, whoa, say things in the let's talk, let's have a discussion that you can sway me, but that's how I feel. That's how I see things. And especially her track record in San Francisco, which is a very gigantic city here in the state of California where we reside. And so we have further insight to that than people that may not be in California.
Yep.
San Francisco is a wild place, a
Yep.
very wild place. And there's a lot of different topics and a lot of different dissenting opinions of Kamala Harris's time as a prosecutor in that city.
Yeah, she's not looked upon very favorably here, to be honest with you.
She's not.
You know,
She's
again,
not.
we're not like a left channel or a right.
No.
We're a fact based channel.
Facts,
Here, so.
just facts.
That's it.
And I, you know, on the other side of the coin, I'm very happy that it's a woman. I'm very happy that it's a woman of color. I'm very happy that
100%.
she's also South Asian. I a little confused people saying South Asian and Indian.
Let's talk to my wife
I think
about
it's
this.
like a way around saying Indian. I don't know why there's offense. I don't know
Why don't we
there's
just say Indian?
an avoidance of that. I love it that she's Jamaican and Indian.
Yeah.
I don't get why we have to say South Asian instead of Indian. I don't know if that's some taboo or some topic to avoid, but it's weird how they've been trying to like curve around that. It is weird, right?
Like my wife's half Filipino. If I call her Southeast Asian, she gets upset. I mean, you Islanders out there, I mean, I can only relate because I'm married to a Filipina. There's nothing wrong with saying Jamaican and Indian.
No.
Like, why you got to generalize? Like African American. I'm sorry, I have a lot of black friends, and
Yeah.
I've asked them. They don't like to be called African American. They're not. The response that I get is, "I'm not from Africa." I'm like, "Cool, you're black. You're an American. I'm white. I'm an American." I think it's okay to say that.
Yeah.
Again, comment down below if you disagree, but
I think, and we'll get into that too. Again, it comes down to science, and I have a belief that we'll get into it other episodes that all of this is bullshit. All borders are bullshit. Skin color, everybody thinks that all this race to me is bullshit.
Well,
Racism
genetics.
is
There's
real.
genetics, and genetics are important, and
Genetics are
I like how we're different. Like, if we were all the same, it'd be kind of boring.
Exactly.
Like, I like black people and yellow people and green people.
Exactly. But it's just, I look at the same way I look at like what's the study of birds, ornithology or whatever. Just like birds. If every bird was the same, how boring is that?
Yeah.
But there's billions of different types of birds, just like there's billions of different types of humans.
Yeah.
It's the diversity is the beauty.
But Tony, if we keep interbreeding, we'll just end up with one race at one point.
Oh,
That's
man.
why we have to keep the whites the way that they are and the blacks the way that
crazy. It's crazy. It's just nonsense. And we get so caught up in all that. We could be so far advanced if we got out of our own heads and just saw each other as living organisms deserved of equal respect.
Here's my conspiracy thesis. We won't get into it, but I'll just plant the seed. I think that if we did interbreed all races and we became eventually the one species, I think that's how we become like the ultimate species, because then we weed out all the bad genes from all the different species, and then we have like the best of everything, right? And I think there's a reason why they don't want us to breed.
Well, that's
why they keep us segregated.
It's true, but it's too little, too late. You know what I mean? Because you're looking at
but
I'm half German, half Puerto Rican, baby.
Yeah.
You know, my dad took the initiative right there. He made himself a nice little white American girl. He's right off the boat from Puerto Rico. And here you go. This is what you get. This is the gray we're all heading towards, man. The gray.
I'm pretty sure my kids are the first of what they are. They're quarter French, quarter Romanian, quarter Filipino, and quarter a whole bunch of European.
That's the future, man. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
I haven't met anybody like that yet. So,
that's the beautiful. That's like, it's just like, and again, I don't want to compare humans to dogs, but I love dogs just like I love humans. And, you know, dogs that are mixed breed are healthier. They're less prone to disease. They have more resilient genes.
That's what I'm talking about.
More resilient immune systems. That's just the facts of science. So anyway,
and we're gonna get into it, but now
we're gonna get into that.
But now
we're gonna talk about the Democratic National Convention that happened tonight, and boom, did it have some heavy hitters, my friends? Wowza! Michelle Obama herself gave a moving, powerful speech, not really political, more emotional, calling to arms the Democratic Party and saying now is the time. She said, she called him by name and said it explicitly. Donald Trump is not the guy for president. He is not capable of meeting the moment. We've had him for 4 years.
He's not doing a good job of unifying the country. I'll 100% support that.
That was her kind of resounding message. He's not the guy to unite. He's obviously shown that his penchant is to divide, and Biden has made a political career, again, taking a step back from the actual policy. There's a lot to be dissected about Biden's actual policies. He's probably one of the architects of modern private prisons. He's a 1994 crime bill. He had a lot to do with a lot of the problems that are going on right now in this country, with especially the criminal justice system, and the private prison system. However, the man is an everyday Joe. I mean, he carries himself like that. He's built his political career on being able to cross the aisle, to bring people together. You hear my dog barking for him in the background. It's just bringing people together, and that's kind of what his thing. And again, at the end of the day, you can split hairs and say, well, he's not genuine or whatever. But even if he's not genuine, he's making the effort to say that he wants to bring people together to work together for a common purpose.
I'm not seeing those arguments. I'm seeing he's a senile, like he's completely unfit. And I mean,
exactly. But both of them are. I mean, if you're really going to split it down and we get into that, it's crazy A versus crazy B. I mean, that's just the reality is. It's like one guy, I don't want to,
One guy has gassed American citizens for a photo op, and the other guy hasn't done that yet. So I'm going to give the other guy the benefit of the doubt until that happens.
Exactly. Until we see that happen. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we're going with facts. We're going with science and facts. And that's just, I think, what the resounding message of this Democratic National Convention was trying to get unity. We also saw Senator Bernie Sanders give a speech trying to bring his base, of which I was a rabid fan, and I was a Bernie bro. I voted for Bernie in the California primary, which he won in California resoundingly. It wasn't even close. So I know there's a lot of my brethren here in California, and we just got completely stomped out by the Democratic establishment, and that's okay. That's still not as bad as 4 more years of an egomaniacal mafia wannabe, a mob boss wannabe, who's actually doing tremendously damaging things to the very factual existence of this economy. He's trying to pull out funding from the fucking USPS. What?
Chaos.
It's so clearly nefarious.
Yeah, he hired his boy. And then
his boy, exactly, who owns companies that sell products to competitors of the USPS. This DeJoy person is Louis DeJoy. Louis DeJoy is he supplies trucks and different types of equipment to UPS and DHL and the competitors of the Postal Service. So he's there specifically. He's the cool guy, the cooler. He's there to defund and dismantle the USPS, which is a federal agency protected by the Constitution. But again, this is one of those things that the current administration has no regard for. They don't care about the actual Constitution. They care about profit to their organizations and affiliates of their organizations. Again, if you disagree with any of this and you have facts to prove that this is not going on, put it in the comment.
Please
link it. Let's have a conversation. I am not angry.
Otherwise, we're going to have to hit up Jeff Bezos, man, to get this thing going. And I don't want to do that. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to hit up old Jeff Bay.
No one wants to go to Jeff Bay and say, hey, dude, we got more money for you to make.
Yeah.
Save the country.
Yeah, save the country.
Save the country that you have also destroyed in other ways, small businesses.
Yep.
Anyway, it's just another part of the onslaught on small businesses with the pandemic and Amazon, and just
we're gonna have to cover these tech companies for sure.
Yeah, we'll get into all of these topics as time goes on. You'll see that there's no topic that's too taboo. We're going to talk about everything under the sun, everything fringe science, mainstream science, theoretical science, all of it, political science, sports science, all different types of science. And I think I'll use this as an opportunity to give you guys everybody a little bit more background too, of where we came up with SOULdiers of Science. We originally were going to call it Soldiers of Science. Soldiers spelt traditionally without the U. But then we took a step back and we said, you know what? Neither one of us have ever been in the military. Neither one of us have actually served active duty, but we also feel like we are in a war right now for information. There is warfare happening right now, psychological warfare, and it is against science and fact. It is lies and manipulation aimed at the purpose of a profiteering, capitalistic, globalistic endgame. And then there is science and fact, which has a war right now to go on. And if you could argue, to save the planet from catastrophic climate change, catastrophic economic ruin from a pandemic that we are sorely handling, specifically in this country. There are other countries that have handled it way better, but that does not negate the fact that it is still a pandemic for which there is no cure, and it can cyclically come back and kill us and kill us and kill us until we figure it out together as a global community. Anyway, going back to the name, so we feel like we are all about science, but we also have a tendency to be more spiritual in our approach because we have a quest. We feel moved by the ticking clock that is happening because of this war against science. And we are souls fighting this together. All of us that have any type of belief in something higher, something connected, something that's universal, that goes beyond just the boundaries of Earth, that goes into the outer space, into the ether. There's material from all over the universe that is comprised in our bones, in our planet. And we are just trying to coalesce a movement in protection of that, protection of science, protection of what's real and factual, and use that against people that are trying to manipulate lies and falsehoods to push forward a agenda that does not have all of our best interests at heart. With that,
that's beautiful, man.
Thank you. That's a little bit.
That sums it up. I mean, that's literally why we started doing this. Like Tony and I got together like 3-4 months ago at the beginning of this whole thing, and what are we gonna do? You know, we just came up with the idea to do a podcast, and yeah, like why not do something positive? Why not try to bring some change? So again, comment down below.
Yes, let me know. Are you vibing it? Do you hate it? Do you want to see me go off on random rabbit holes like that more? Do you want to see less of that? Do you hate it? Do you love it? And would you tell me what you love? Because I'm very detail oriented guy, but I'm also a very laid back guy. So there's again nuances to everything. But the fact of the matter is, we call this Soldiers of Science because at the end of the day, we want to provide people with information that is true, that they can trust in, and also give it to you in a way that's not judgmental and it's not putting you down for your positions. We're not trying to come down on anybody. Again, we're not super left or super right leaning or just this, not even be able to put into the context of political science because life is so much more complex than that. And so that's really it. That's where we are.
Science and facts do not have political affiliation. So that's kind of where we just want to keep it,
Yes. And if the science and the facts that you're into have a political affiliation, you need to detach yourself from those.
You need to rethink that. Yeah.
Yes. Reanalyze where you're coming from. Yeah. Back to the convention. It was powerful. I will say that again, there were some questionable decisions made on some of the speakers for tonight, the opening night. I don't know why we had John Kasich. And I say we in terms of as a country. I don't think the Republicans or the Democrats want John Kasich as part of their parties.
That's weird. Right?
I don't know why he was there talking about anything, at all. He's hated in his home state of Ohio. He's reviled by Republicans, reviled by Democrats. I don't know what he was doing there, honestly. I could have used a million other different people.
I mean, he's probably just trying to pull, some of the conservative base. Like,
yes.
That's,
not
decided anymore.
Yeah. Or Yeah.
trying to figure out what's going on over here and see what the alternative is. And I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah.
It is very interesting. Maybe that is it. You're probably spot on with that. It's just a play at getting those folks on the Republican side of the aisle that aren't really feeling the old Trumper.
He's a deeply worried Republican and stepped up for Biden. So
yeah.
They're leveraging him for that. Yeah.
I see it. So he plays a role. The other thing I'll say about the convention is obviously unprecedented. Just like I keep saying, beating the dead horse with that word, but it's all virtual. This would typically be a large in-person event, with thousands of people in attendance, in a big, type of event space. But it was all virtual. I thought it had obviously a pretty powerful lineup, other than for me, outside of Kasich. I think Bernie and Michelle were very big names to bring in. They also had Klobuchar and some others, which was just a little less moving. But again, you understand it because of the summer and the spring with the primary and some of the players that made names for themselves, namely, other prosecutors. But yeah, I think that the virtual aspect of it was fairly successful. It was able to tap into people's homes. You saw the average American. You saw people that are on, again, kind of seemingly both ends of the spectrum. There was a farmer from Pennsylvania. They tapped in, and he was just a concerned farmer. He said that this Trump trade war has, been catastrophic for the farm community. He's afraid that he's going to be one of the last, if not the last generation of farmers in his family because of the pandemic, in addition to these trade wars. And his message, which I felt was one of the most powerful ones of the convention, and fitting in that it just came from an everyday, American farmer guy that, just like in anything else in life, when something is not working, you have to change it. And that was his message. He's like, whenever something I'm doing in my life is just not working and I keep running up against the wall, I have to find change. And that's where we are as a country. I think we've seen
definition of insanity.
Insanity, yeah.
Keep
doing the same thing over and expecting different results. And I think that much is clear. Again, if you can pull your head out of the clouds or other euphemisms there, and take a step away from your political affiliation and just see what actually has been going on during this administration, it's been a lot of the same, all the same. It's been, gaslighting, dodging, name calling, divisiveness. And we just, as a country, especially during this time of uncertainty with the pandemic and the economy, we just can't afford to keep doing that. It's driving us all mad. No one likes how they feel when they think about this. We used to love each other. We're a country of hardworking, aspiring, connected, giving, and caring human beings. And now there's this divide that is ugly, and it is not us. And it really, the scary part about that is that those are the first types of things that happen at the end of an empire, at the end of a era. People on the outside, powers from beyond our borders, look at that and they see an opportunity to come in. And we've seen this.
Oh, yeah.
This is an opportunity to come in and to break us down and to take over control. And we can't let that happen. We've got too much going for us. We have too much resilience, too many smart, brilliant people, too many caring people on both sides of the aisle and beyond, that, we just can't allow that to happen. We fought too hard to get this to where it is, and we've got a long way to go. But we cannot give in now and turn on each other. That's the last thing we need.
It sounds cliche. You hit it right on the dot, man. Like, we have the only way we're going to make it out of this is if we stick together and work together, right?
Yep.
Believing in whatever you want to believe in, that's one thing. But at the end of the day, if you're willing or able to push that aside and still work with your left or right counterpart and have a conversation, if we're just able to talk to each other at the end of the day, that's how we push forward. That's how we move forward. But you know, we got to get back to that. And I don't care who you vote for, but at the end of the day, think about when you vote, who is going to facilitate and nourish that type of, you know, not lifestyle, but that type of engagement that we need, right?
Yeah. Community that takes care of each other.
Yeah.
You know, not a community that tears each other down.
Yep.
That's it. That's the bottom line, man. And
all right.
Yeah. Wow. So look at us. We are here at the end. I think we can look back and say that we've covered a lot of ground here, dude. Holy shit.
Hour and 15.
Yeah. And man, we've gone all over the world in terms of topics. I love it.
Yeah. One piece of feedback I'm really interested in is, do you, and we'll obviously do a bunch of different, or we'll do a bunch of episodes kind of in this same exact format. We'll cover like 4 or 5 different topics, probably in the course of an hour or two. The question I have for you viewers is, do you prefer us getting really in depth in, you know, a fewer amount of topics? Do you like this kind of 4 or 5 topic format, or would you prefer us to just kind of bang through like a whole bunch of different issues and just talk like just for a few minutes on issue A, B, and C? Like Tony and I love to get off on some tangents, so we love to just stick into one thing for quite a long time. But if you prefer a different flow, we'd love to hear that feedback. So
yes, please let us know. Give us your feedback, all your candid feedback. And you know, again, our main goal here is to bring information to you folks in the way that you feel most relatable to. And we're open to anything. We're open to change. Again, conversations, agreements, disagreements. Send us links, send us feedback. Do all those things in the comment page. Find us on social media. And yeah, man, just let us know what you feel, what's working, what isn't, and let's build something amazing together, you know, to keep it moving.
Love it. All right. With that, we kind of came up with the idea to, so Tony at the beginning of every show, he's going to do a little, maybe not putting you on the spot or anything, but, he might spit a little verse, do some poetry, whatever he would like to do in a written format or, a freestyle format. And then I have a history of doing some turntablism, some scratching, some DJing. So I DJ'd in the past for like 10 years. So I thought, hey, why don't I try to give back to the community in a small way? There's a ton of videos out there on how to do basic scratches. But today I'm going to cover the baby scratch. So I'm going to hop over to a different cam, and I'll be right back.
Hell yeah. Get ready for this, peeps. He is, man, next level on the 1s and 2s. Let me go full screen, Alex. I'm going to pass it over to the OG.
Yo.
Today's lesson. Yo. All right, Alex, pushing you full screen, brother. Take it away.
All right. So today, here, let me move my mic a little bit. Tonight, whenever you guys and gals are watching this, we're just going to cover the baby scratch, the simplest, the easiest scratch in the world, the first scratch that one would learn when they, invest in a set of turntables, or for you modern DJs out there using Serato or any type of digital, music interface device. It's still the first basic scratch that you'll learn. So essentially, it just sounds like this. And that's with the crossfader open. So I'm gonna drop a little beat right here. And so I'm just assuming that you've never seen turntables, or you've never touched a turntable before, and you've never touched a mixer before. So I'm not going to go over all the dials on this one, but I'm just going to cover the crossfader. And this is the most important for a scratch DJ. This is really where all the magic is happening. And all it does is it cuts the sound out and it pushes it back in, right? So for this table, I'm cutting it out and I'm pushing it back in. So with the baby scratch, all you have to do is move the record back and forth to the rhythm. Right? That sounds kind of boring, right? Once you've heard this for a couple seconds, you're like, well, okay, what else are you going to do, right? Well, that's where the crossfader comes in. cut that sound out and then bring it back in. So as you can see, my left hand, and if you're right-handed, you use your right hand, obviously, but my left hand is just moving back and forth. That's all it's doing. And with my right hand, I'm pushing the crossfader in and out. And all I'm doing there really is just doing the baby scratch faster or slower. Sorry, I think I'm way too hot on that. So you can increase the velocity. You can go faster, you can go slower, and that's how you get those different kind of rhythms. And yeah, I'm mixing in a couple different things there. It's really just a stab. So I'm really just doing a stab, which is, but I'm getting ahead of myself because I should teach that on the second episode. But yeah, that's it. So if you ever get a chance, or you really want to get into scratching, or you ever get a chance to go to your friend's house that has some turntables, just remember, just keep your hand moving back and forth like this. And then just start forgetting about that hand. Just keep moving it back and forth on the beat, and then just focus on the crossfader and bring the sound in and out on beat. And that's it.
Sick. Hell yeah. Thank you, Flex. DJ Flex. Scratch lesson. Scratch 101.
Yeah, let me know if you guys like that. If you want to see some more of that kind of stuff. I actually had the privilege, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I live in the Bay Area, and this was 15 years ago. I had the privilege to meet Qbert and go to his house and scratch with him. So this was kind of year 3, my third year into scratching. And back then, this is like early 2000s. You could email the guy, and I got into some of the circles of the DJs around here, and he would just have people over and just party. And I actually came to his house at around 3 p.m. So it was before he was having more people over, and he just kind of like put me on the spot. He let me in through his back door. I walked in. It was the Octagon where he has the 8 turntables, 4 mixers. And he was sitting across the table, and I'm like sweating bullets. I'm like, because he was like my idol at the time, right? And let me pull my mic closer. And I literally walk in. He's like, "Yo, I'm Q." I'm like, "Yeah, I know who you are, man." I'm like, "Hey, I'm Alex. Flex, whatever." And he's like, "Okay, you want to scratch?" Like literally, the first thing he asked me was like, "Do you want to scratch?" I'm like, I was paralyzed, right? So I started scratching, and it was only my 3rd year into scratching, and I thought I was terrible. And he's just such a... So I'll get into some of the controversial stuff. If any of you guys are watching this like post, then you may know about what's happened with Qbert recently with some of the conspiracy theory stuff that he's gone through. I won't get into that, but back then, and still today, he's a super humble guy, and he just only had love and only had positive feedback. So I actually learned a lot from him on that one visit. I was able to go back one other time, and then some asshole at the party had to steal some of his stuff, and he had to shut it all down. So I never got to go back there, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm super passionate about scratching and music. You're going to see a lot of this stuff in the show. Tony is as well. We're gonna get into it. So Let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know what you think, and definitely come back, check back for future episodes. We're gonna do breakdowns of beats. Alex is gonna take a look at it from the production side. I'm gonna take a look at it from the lyrical side. We'll dissect things. I'll let you know how we feel about the way artists are putting things together. Before we sign off, I did just want to call out. We did get a comment from a viewer.
Woo! We got a comment
from a viewer on Twitch. And they came to us with the question of the day. Now, this viewer's name is Swan Schlong, and I had to also give some love to that because that is
Swan
hilarious.
Schlong.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, man.
And the question of the day from Swan Schlong says the spelling of woe, W-O-H or W-H-O-A. And I'm just going to put it on the record that for me, it's W-H-O-A.
Oh yeah, WHOA all day.
All day. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's your answer to the question of the day. Thank you for commenting. Appreciate that. I'm not surprised that our first interaction came from somebody on Twitch.
Called Swan Schlong.
Swan Schlong on Twitch. Oh man, this is going to be a long, fun journey, dude. I can't wait. Again, thank y'all for tuning in. And for those of you who are, most of you probably rewatching this, not live, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate the love. Let us know what you think. Again, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be coming at you every 2 weeks with a new episode, breaking down reality, breaking down science, breaking down the whole world in a way that you can digest, little tidbits, to keep that appetite wet and let you know that it's always about learning. Never stop learning. That's just my, our approach to everyday life. Always be learning. And with that, Black Lives Matter. Wear your mask. We love y'all. Peace and stay safe. Tony D from So.
Uh-oh. We back. We good. I got a little freeze there.
Okay. Love y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Wow, that was crazy. I didn't do anything. It just ended right when I was ready to end. Again.
No, we still live, man.
Okay, cool. No, I was just giving my sign off. They say
Yeah. DJ Flex, thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this, if you made it this far, we appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one. We're gonna, just so you know, we're doing every 2 weeks right now. Next episode we should say in the beginning, but whatever. We'll do this every 2 weeks, and then as we get more time, we'll maybe try to make it a weekly thing. But for now, tune in every other Monday.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
Stay safe.
Peace.
Wear
your mask.
Wear your mask.
Wear your mask.
Peace.